We just got official confirmation of the first bank failure of 2026 in the United States. You might think that because it was resolved quickly and without lines of desperate people at the door, there's no reason to worry. But don't be fooled. All this tranquility hides a real danger. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why the shutdown of Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust, which was located in Chicago, acts like a flashing yellow warning light for the entire financial system and what the real numbers say about the risk of new failures happening right now. Before I tell you the behind-the-scenes details, tell me something. When you see news about a bank failing without making any noise, do you feel relief, or does it make you suspicious, thinking there's something hidden? Pause the video real quick and comment down below, relief or suspicious. I want to know how you react to this. Thanks for the comment. The action was very fast. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is the fancy name for the agency that guarantees people's money doesn't just disappear, stepped in immediately. To give you an idea, this agency is the backbone of banking safety here. This case marks the first failure of the year in the country. And interestingly, it's the second time this has happened just in the city of Chicago in a 2-year period. If this story sounds familiar, it's because the process followed exactly the playbook created after that great economic crisis of 2008. We didn't see Metropolitan Capital collapse amidst chaos or with lines of desperate people at the door wanting to withdraw money. In fact, almost no one heard about it. Customers kept access to their money, and there wasn't that panic-driven run to withdraw everything that we usually see in old stories. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation organized a purchase and assumption agreement with another bank called First Independence Bank from the city of Detroit. Basically, this other institution will reopen the failed bank as if it were one of its new branches. It was all planned to be fast, easy, and mainly very quiet. From the point of view of someone who has an account there, the change was made to be practically invisible. All the stored money was transferred, accounts continue to work, and loan payments follow the normal dates. The regulators in Illinois made it very clear that no person who kept money there will lose even a cent with this closure. Now, you might ask yourself why this is important if everything was resolved so calmly. The issue is that behind this calm appearance, there is an important warning about how some parts of the banking system in the United States are still fragile. We are talking especially about those smaller banks, which make little profit on each operation and depend on money that can flow in and out very fast. It is fundamental to look at the numbers to understand the size of the thing. At the moment it closed, Metropolitan Capital had about $261 million in assets and $212 million in money deposited by customers. It was a small bank, no doubt. The regulator said the bank was in unsafe and unsound conditions and that it didn't have sufficient capital, and they used this as justification to shut down operations. This technical language used by government agencies is extremely serious and deliberate. When official reports, like those made by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation itself, or financial stability analyses from the Federal Reserve, which is our central bank, use terms like unsafe conditions, this indicates that the financial health of the institution worsened so much that it could no longer function without putting customers' money at risk. The estimate is that this bankruptcy will cost the insurance fund, the one that covers the loss, about $19.7 million. It is not a value that will destroy the system, but it is not a small amount of money either. This is how problems start, slowly, without making noise, until the subject becomes a risk for everyone. It is worth noting that Metropolitan Capital was not a rookie or adventurous bank. It was founded in the year 2005, operated for 2 decades, and had clients in 46 American states and 10 countries, in addition to having an office in New York. It seemed small but wanted to grow. However, in economics, being small can be a serious problem when the general situation tightens. Here enters the broader explanation that experts, like the analysts at the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg, have been warning about for a while. Interest rates, which stayed high in recent years, change the risk for banks. In the United States, high rates can even make the bank earn more on new loans, but they cause the value of old investments the bank already holds to fall, especially those long-term ones. It's the basic rule. When interest rates go up, the price of these old investments goes down. At the same time, the competition for customers' money increased, which makes it more expensive for the bank to get resources. For smaller banks, which don't have various ways to make money or large emergency reserves, this combination is dangerous and destroys stability. That was what happened in this case, leading to a situation of no return. Cash reserves diminish, the ease of paying bills disappears, and in the end, the conclusion is reached that the bank can no longer sustain itself. Chicago, specifically, has a complicated history with this. Since the year 2000, 71 banks in the state of Illinois have failed, with 22 being just in Chicago. The most famous case, widely discussed by the Chicago Tribune newspaper, was the collapse of Washington Federal Bank for Savings in the year 2017, linked to an embezzlement scheme of $140 million. Compared to that scandal, the bankruptcy of Metropolitan Capital is organized and almost bureaucratic. But thinking about financial safety, that is exactly how it should be to avoid panic. The fact that only 2 banks failed in the United States last year might seem like a good sign, but those who analyze risks see this differently. We are not in a moment of explosive crisis, but rather in a slow-motion stress test. Weak banks are being resolved one by one and in a controlled manner, instead of collapsing all at once. Now that you've seen the numbers, what is your guess for the rest of 2026? Do you think this was just an isolated case, or is it the beginning of a silent crisis that will catch a lot of people off guard? Write down in the comments if you think the worst has passed or if it is still to come. Still, these bankruptcies matter as a symbol. Investors and regulators start to ask themselves if it is an isolated case or the beginning of a trend. The message that remains is clear. Smaller banks continue to be very vulnerable in an environment of high rates, little circulating money, and slow growth. The system can handle occasional bankruptcies, but it cannot ignore the accumulated risk. In 2026, the first piece has already fallen, and the controlled way this happened says a lot about how American finances are today. For you to keep understanding this subject with me, a video suggestion will appear now in the top right part of the screen. See you in that next video. See you soon.
Nelle sole sul rossi pa che muoversi, yeah!